Hello and welcome to Quiz Time. Today we have a trivia quiz. So, how well do you think you're going to do today? Shall we find out? Let's go. Which type of hat became fashionable in the 1950s, often worn by movie stars and stylish women? A fedora, a pillbox hat, or a beret? A pillbox hat. What was a staple laundry detergent that introduced its iconic blue packaging in the 1950s and still persists? Tide, Cheer, or All? Tide. Which popular 1950s show host kept a famously serious face despite hosting lively celebrity performances weekly? Ed Sullivan, Jack Parr, or Johnny Carson? Ed Sullivan. Which dessert, inspired by fine dining, found a surprising home in 1950s kitchens as an elegant treat? Baked Alaska, crepes, or soufflé? Baked Alaska. What appliance, marketed as time-saving, made a meal preparation fast and futuristic in the average 1960s kitchen? A blender, a microwave, or a food processor? A microwave. What 1950s canned meat gained fame in recipes like sandwiches and casseroles, making ready-to-eat meals popular? Hormel chili, Campbell's chunky soup, or Libby's corned beef hash? Hormel chili. Which 1950s Elvis hit was labelled rebellious by parents but adored by teens for its bold beat? Heartbreak Hotel, Hound Dog, or Jailhouse Rock? Hound Dog. Which triangular snack, introduced in the 1960s, was inspired by a Mexican dish and became a crunchy favourite? Doritos, Fritos, or corn chips? Doritos. What 1969 event interrupted TV broadcasts worldwide as viewers eagerly watched history in real time? Woodstock, moon landing, or Vietnam War coverage? Was the moon landing. Which soda brand famously marketed itself as Uncola in the 1960s, setting it apart from rivals? 7-Up, Dr. Pepper, or Sprite? It was 7-Up. Which 1950s TV Western featured a singing cowboy and his horse, inspiring generations of adventure lovers? The Lone Ranger, Bonanza, or Gunsmoke? The Lone Ranger. Which hairstyle, popularized by Elvis, became a statement for young men's rebellious style in the 1950s? Crew cut, pompadour, or mullet? Pompadour. What brightly coloured fizzy drink, introduced in the 1960s, became known as a summertime favourite across the United States? Fanta, Kool-Aid, or Mountain Dew? Kool-Aid. Which board game featuring hotels and bankruptcies became a family favourite and sparked family feuds in the 1950s? Scrabble, Monopoly, or Cluedo? Monopoly. Which American diner favourite served in foil wrappers emerged as a classic in the fast food boom of the 1960s? Cheeseburgers, French fries, or hot dog? Cheeseburger. Which famous rock and roll movie from the 1950s featured the line, "You're tearing me apart"? Blackboard Jungle, Rebel Without a Cause, or Rock Around the Clock? Rebel Without a Cause. Which beloved space-themed TV show first aired in the 1960s, exploring strange new worlds? Star Trek, Lost in Space, or The Twilight Zone? Star Trek. What portable radio marketed to teenagers brought rock and roll to millions in the late 1950s? Walkman, transistor radio, or boombox? Transistor radio. Which 1960s Beatles song, inspired by Paul McCartney's dream, became an anthem of peace and introspection? Yesterday, Hey Jude, or Let It Be? Yesterday. Which television host in the 1960s first used audience members for a humorous man on the street segment? Johnny Carson, Steve Allen, or David Frost? Steve Allen. What popular 1950s fashion item was known for its exaggerated hourglass shape and nipped waist? A-line dress, pencil skirt, or poodle skirt? Poodle skirt. What 1950s toy made from a spring could walk downstairs, captivating kids across America? Yo-yo, slinky, or hula hoop? Slinky. Which candy bar, first introduced in the 1960s, became known for its "Two for You" slogan? Milky Way, Twix, or Kit Kat? Twix. What hit song from 1961 helped make Motown a household name, influencing countless musicians? Please Mr. Postman, Stand By Me, or At Last? Please Mr. Postman. Which type of automobile, often painted in bright colours, was marketed to families as stylish and spacious in the 1960s? Convertible, station wagon, or sedan? Station wagon. Which 1960s hit song associated with free-spirited dancing is famously linked to the lyrics "Do the Locomotion"? Twist and Shout, The Locomotion, or Let's Dance? The Locomotion. No trick questions here. What kitchen staple from the 1950s was advertised as soft enough for babies and claimed to last extra long? Wonder Bread, Ritz crackers, or Oreos? Wonder Bread. Which 1950s film star was dubbed the King of Cool, defining rebellious style with his unique charm? James Dean, Steve McQueen, or Marlon Brando? Steve McQueen. What frozen treat, introduced in the 1950s, was marketed as an ice cream sandwich on a stick, Eskimo pie, popsicle, or Klondike bar? Eskimo pie. Which 1950s animated TV family set in the future showed the first on-screen video call? The Jetsons, the Flintstones, or Scooby-Doo? The Jetsons. What 1960s hairstyle, known for its height, required strong hairspray and hours of teasing? Beehive, bob, or flip? Beehive. Which British band, arriving in 1964, caused Beatlemania and changed American pop culture overnight? The Beatles, the Rolling Stones, or The Who? The Beatles. What kitchen trend in the 1960s promoted convenience and included meals in cans, packets, and TV dinners? Instant meals, frozen dinners, or pre-cooked dishes? Frozen dinners. What 1960s game show, known for big wins, had contestants spinning a massive colourful wheel? Wheel of Fortune, The Price is Right, or Let's Make a Deal? The Price is Right. Which artist's 1960s song, The Times They Are A-Changing, became a rally anthem for social change? Bob Dylan, Johnny Cash, or Simon and Garfunkel? Bob Dylan. What 1950s dance style popularised in nightclubs involved fast footwork and swinging turns? The bop, the twist, or the jitterbug? The jitterbug. Which 1950s comic strip featured a dog that loved his red doghouse and became an icon? Garfield, Snoopy, or Marmaduke? Snoopy. What 1950s vacation trend featuring sleek Airstream trailers captured the spirit of the open road? Tent camping, RVing, or glamping? RVing. Which shoe style, popular in the 1960s, added a bold statement with its tall platform? Mary Jane's, go-go boots, or saddle shoes? Go-go boots. What 1960s movie set in Austria featured a singing family and an unforgettable do-re-mi tune? Mary Poppins, The Sound of Music, or My Fair Lady? The Sound of Music. What game, requiring a plastic disc and a flat field, became popular in the 1950s? Frisbee, paddleball, or badminton? Frisbee. What 1950s dessert had a creamy whipped cream filling, a buttery graham cracker crust, and flavours like chocolate or lemon? Cream pie, cheesecake, or pudding cup? Cream pie. Which 1950s toy gun was advertised as safer than cap guns, firing tiny plastic pellets? Water gun, BB gun, or pea shooter? BB gun. During a famous scandal, what 1960s political figure became known for saying, "I am not a crook"? Lyndon B. Johnson, John F. Kennedy, or Richard Nixon? Richard Nixon. Which 1960s commercial jingle promised a product that melts in your mouth, not in your hands? M&M's, Hershey's, or Skittles? M&M's. Which 1950s game requiring strategic thinking and small wooden blocks became an international sensation? Jenga, pick-up sticks, or Scrabble? Scrabble. What iconic 1950s invention brought pop music into millions of homes with just the push of a button? Jukebox, transistor radio, or gramophone? Transistor radio. Which beloved 1960s cartoon character's catchphrase was "Yabba Dabba Doo" and still brings a smile to fans today? Fred Flintstone, George Jetson, or Rocky the Flying Squirrel? Fred Flintstone. Which 1960s soda, marketed as a pep-up drink, became associated with the counterculture generation? Mountain Dew, Sprite, or Dr. Pepper? Mountain Dew. What 1950s fad toy was famously marketed with the slogan, "It goes up, it goes down"? Yo-yo, paddleball, or hula hoop? Yo-yo. What 1960s political figure famously challenged the country to put a man on the moon? Lyndon B. Johnson, Richard Nixon, or John F. Kennedy? John F. Kennedy. Which 1960s book told the tale of young love and rivalry in the fictional town of Tulsa? West Side Story, The Outsiders, or Romeo and Juliet? The Outsiders. Which 1950s household item advertised itself as whiter than white and was the envy of neighbours? Washing machine, laundry detergent, or bleach? Laundry detergent. Which 1960s dance craze named after a plant had dancers moving side to side in unison? The twist, the mashed potato, or the jerk? The mashed potato. Which 1960s phrase, popularised by musicians, encouraged listeners to turn on, tune in, drop out? Psychedelic era, flower power, or hippie movement? Psychedelic era. What 1950s term for a fashionable teenager wearing jeans and leather jackets sparked controversy? Beatniks, greaser, or rocker? Greaser. What 1960s board game used a device called a pop-o-matic that captivated young players? Monopoly, Trouble, or Sorry? Trouble. What 1950s song, famously sung by Bill Haley and his Comets, became synonymous with teenage rebellion? Rock Around the Clock, Shake, Rattle and Roll, or blue suede shoes? Rock around the clock. Which 1960s book about a mysterious chocolate factory sparked wonder for children worldwide? Matilda, James and the Giant Peach, or Charlie and the Chocolate Factory? Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. What 1950s fashion trend for men, characterised by narrow ties and suits, was influenced by jazz culture? Zoot suit, beatniks look, or Ivy League style? Ivy League style. Which 1960s horror film's shower scene terrified audiences and remains one of the most famous? Psycho, Rosemary's Baby, or Night of the Living Dead? Psycho. Which 1960s British television series involving espionage was later adapted into a major movie franchise? The Avengers, Mission Impossible, or James Bond? The Avengers. What 1960s musical group became known for their good vibrations and California-inspired tunes? The Monkees, the Beach Boys, or the Byrds? The Beach Boys. What fashion item, popularised in the 1950s, was known for its pointed cups and structured design? Peplum top, bullet bra, or poodle skirt? Bullet bra. Which 1950s cartoon character lived in Jellystone Park, often outwitting his dim-witted pursuer? Yogi Bear, Huckleberry Hound, or Scooby-Doo? Yogi Bear. Which 1960s album by the Beatles was known for influencing the counterculture movement? The Revolver, Abbey Road, or Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band? Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. What 1960s invention allowed families to quickly capture photos instantly on self-developing film? Polaroid camera, Super 8 camera, or disposable camera? Polaroid camera. All those years shaking them, get them to develop. What 1950s toy was promoted as the thinking man's yo-yo, using magnets and a steel wheel? Hula hoop, paddle ball, or Duncan yo-yo? Duncan yo-yo. Which early 1960s TV show starred Barbara Eden as a mischievous genie named Jeannie? Bewitched, I Dream of Jeannie, or The Munsters? I Dream of Jeannie. Like I say, no trick questions. What popular 1960s hair product promised to give that wet look for an extra slick style? Pomade, hairspray, or mousse? Pomade. Which iconic 1960s duo's songs often featured their close harmonies and folk-influenced sound? Simon and Garfunkel, Sonny and Cher, or Peter, Paul and Mary? Simon and Garfunkel. What 1950s colour TV phenomenon had families excited about seeing their favourite shows in colour? The Andy Griffith Show, The Ed Sullivan Show, or Bonanza? Bonanza. Which 1960s game introduced an iconic character who had to eat dots in a virtual maze? Pac-Man, Space Invaders, or Pong? It was Pac-Man. What 1960s invention promised a smooth ride thanks to a revolutionary new suspension technology? Harley Davidson motorcycle, Ford Mustang, or Chevrolet Corvette? Ford Mustang. Which 1960s breakfast cereal advertised itself as the cereal shot from guns? Cocoa Puffs, Quaker Puffed Rice, or Cornflakes? Quaker Puffed Rice. What iconic 1950s TV show featured a working-class couple and a famous catchphrase, "To the moon, Alice"? The Honeymooners, I Love Lucy, or Leave It to Beaver? The Honeymooners. Which type of cuisine surged in popularity in the 1960s due to interests in exotic flavours? Italian, Polynesian, or Chinese? Polynesian. What trendy 1950s toy required children to walk while keeping a hoop around their waist? Slinky, hula hoop, or yo-yo? It's the hula hoop. Which 1960s American president initiated the Great Society programs to address poverty and inequality? John F. Kennedy, Richard Nixon, or Lyndon B. Johnson? Lyndon B. Johnson. In the 1950s, which popular singer shocked audiences by swiveling his hips, earning him the nickname Elvis the Pelvis? Frank Sinatra, Elvis Presley, or Buddy Holly? No trick questions, of course, Elvis Presley. What popular 1960s toy featured interchangeable outfits and became a global fashion icon? Barbie, G.I. Joe, or Ken? Barbie. Which 1950s beauty trend had women wearing bold red lipstick to emulate movie stars? Pastel lips, nude lips, or red lips? Red lips. What 1960s snack was promoted as the cheese that goes crunch, becoming a movie theatre favourite? Popcorn, Cheez-Its, or Cheetos? Cheetos. Which beloved American family sitcom of the 1950s featured a little boy named Beaver? The Andy Griffith Show, Leave It to Beaver, or My Three Sons? Leave It to Beaver. What 1950s kitchen gadget was promoted as a must-have for creating icy drinks and milkshakes? Blender, toaster, or juicer? It was a blender. Which car model introduced in 1955 became an iconic symbol of American car culture? Ford Thunderbird, Chevy Corvette, or Pontiac GTO? Ford Thunderbird. Which children's book from the 1960s by Dr. Seuss told the tale of a green creature with a heart 2 sizes too small? The Grinch, Horton Hears a Who or The Cat in the Hat. The Grinch. What hairstyle worn by Jackie Kennedy in the 1960s became widely imitated for its sophistication? Pixie cut, bouffant, or beehive? Bouffant. Which 1950s children's TV show featured a Howdy Doody marionette puppet? The Mickey Mouse Club, Howdy Doody Show, or The Lone Ranger? The Howdy Doody Show. In the 1960s, which television's host show became a must-watch for celebrity interviews? Ed Sullivan, Johnny Carson, or Dick Cavett? Johnny Carson. What 1960s album by Bob Dylan challenged political norms with its song Blowin' in the Wind? Highway 61 Revisited, Another Side of Bob Dylan, or The Times They Are A-Changin'? The Times They Are A-Changin'. Which family board game launched in the 60s asked players to twist in different directions? Candyland, Twister, or Monopoly? Twister. In the 1950s, which animated TV show became the first to be broadcast in colour? The Flintstones, Scooby-Doo Where Are You, or The Jetsons? The Flintstones. Excuse me. Who became the first American woman in space in 1983, inspiring generations of female astronauts? Sally Ride, Valentina Tereshkova, or Krista McAuliffe? Sally Ride. Which iconic TV show featured Kermit the Frog and was first broadcast in '69, bringing educational entertainment to children? The Electric Company, Sesame Street, or Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood? Sesame Street. In 1964, which city hosted the World's Fair, where the theme focused on peace through understanding? New York City, Seattle, or San Francisco? New York City. What iconic footwear brand, often associated with basketball and casual wear, became widely popular in the 50s? Converse All-Stars, Vans, or Adidas Samba? Converse All-Stars. In the 1960s, which American pop artists made a splash with iconic paintings of Campbell's soup cans? Jackson Pollock, Roy Lichtenstein, or Andy Warhol? Andy Warhol. Which TV character became famous for his catchphrase, "Good night, John Boy," on the popular family show The Waltons? Jim Bob, Grandpa Zeb, or John Walton Sr.? John Walton Sr. And your last one. What popular 1950s children's toy was created as wallpaper cleaner before being repurposed as modelling compound? Play-Doh, Silly Putty, or Tinker Toys? Play-Doh. So, how did you do today? Drop your score in the comments below, and of course, please like and subscribe so you get notified every time we post a new quiz. And please join us next time on Quiz Time.